Now, when you look at the aviation industry nowadays, you might not believe me when I tell you that switching airline alliances used to be a very uncommon thing, which makes this airliner with this livery just the more historic, and therefore I think it is worth taking a closer look at it. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at an Airbus A340-300 of Scandinavian Airlines. At the front of the box we have a cutout so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of that we have the SAS branding. The backside of the box reveals that this aircraft model comes from a time where, yes, the Herpa nonsense was dialed up, but not to the maximum as we see today, which means we have a lovely image of the aircraft in real life. We are provided with a web link that of course does not work anymore nowadays, where you used to get more information about the product, and then we can see it is a limited edition. Still very nice to once again see a box design from Herpa Wings, which is not complete nonsense. And here she is, the Airbus A340-300 in the Star Alliance livery of Scandinavian Airlines, in many ways a historic aircraft. The aircraft type, the A340, was axed from the SAS fleet in 2020, when the last aircraft were retired. Now, Scandinavian Airlines is of course a founding member of the Star Alliance Airline Alliance, but after the Air France-KLM group purchased a stake in SAS, the airline has since then left Star Alliance and joined SkyTeam. The model of this aircraft was created by Herpa Wings back in 2016, so well and truly a blast from the past. And what can it offer collectors? Let's find out. On the vertical stabilizer we have the iconic Star Alliance logo, and on the fuselage we have a plethora of details. Well, I mean, not really. We have the full registration code of the aircraft. And that's really the only detail that is worth mentioning here, apart from the cabin door, I guess. But I mean, if you don't add that, why bother making an aircraft model? We do, however, have a bit of detailing around the APU exhaust at the very tail of the aircraft, so very exciting. If we then move to the front of the aircraft, we can see across the fuselage the writing of Star Alliance. Underneath that, typical for the Star Alliance livery, we then have the logo or branding of the respective airline that is featuring the Star Alliance livery on the aircraft, in this case, of course, SAS. Next to the cabin door, we then, of course, also have the Star Alliance logo. And then, typical for SAS aircraft, we do have the three Scandinavian flags of the three founding countries of this airline, next to the SAS branding once more. And underneath that, we have the name of the aircraft. As always, all Scandinavian Airlines aircraft are named after Vikings. Apart from that, the cockpit section offers the cockpit windows themselves and the window wipers, so nothing majorly spectacular here. The engine nacelles have the by now old, of course, orange from Scandinavian Airlines with the writing of Scandinavian. We do have the silver leading edge, so overall the engines do look quite lovely with the help of the livery. The physical detailing of them is actually also quite nice, especially here from the front, where we very nice you can see the engine fan blades. And then we can also take a quick look at the wings, starting off with the top side, where we have the different flaps, slats and spoilers carved out, however a bit drowned away by the grey base paint. We don't really have any other markings here featured. The underside of the wings has some nice physical detailing, and we do find the full registration code of the aircraft. And we do, of course, also have some winglets here with this A340, in this case with a black coloring matching the Star Alliance themed livery. In terms of landing gear, this is the standard landing gear that Herpa uses for pretty much all their Airbus A340 aircraft models, at least currently, and I don't think there are any major concerns with it. Overall, I think it looks just fine. The only complaint I have is, of course, that we do not have any printed details. Now, on the belly of the aircraft, this shows that this aircraft model is still from a time where the Herpa nonsense wasn't dialed to 100. Which means we do not have a hole in the fuselage, which makes sense because there is of course also no stand included with this aircraft model, so you wouldn't need it. So we can just focus on the fact that we do have the ram air intakes here featured as a physical detailing. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft, and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Airbus A340-300 in the Star Alliance livery of Scandinavian Airlines from Herpa Wings in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Now, I rarely hold back in criticizing Herpa, especially when it comes to lack of details, but I do kind of have one rule, and that is I don't want to overly criticize aircraft models for missing details when they are older. If it's a new release, I think it's fair game to criticize Herpa for missing details. When they are older releases, yes, of course, they still should have way more details than they have, but it's not my major concern here, because honestly speaking, if anyone buys this aircraft model today, it will of course not be because of the details, because Herpa has never been about the details. It is of course about the livery and the memories of the past of this airline as a founding member of Star Alliance, nowadays not being part of that airline alliance anymore. And I think as a kind of memorabilia, the model does fine, because the print itself, the quality of the print that Herpa added to this aircraft model is fine. I don't think there are any major mistakes with that. The physical detailing is also great. The A340 of Herpa Wings is solid in scale 500. So if you don't expect an aircraft model that revolutionized scale 500, because this model really and most certainly did not, but just a nice piece of memorabilia, something to look back at and say, this was aviation in 2016, then yes, this aircraft model is worth having in one's collection. And on that note, it is time to end today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like. If you're new around here, why not hit subscribe? With that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.